So eventually, smiles all round for Barcelona. 2 wins out of 2 then to kick off the defence of their title. But boy, were they made to sweat against newly promoted Levante. As we welcome in Luis García joins the show. We'll be hearing from Luis in a moment. But Ali, in the end, they got away with it.
That's one way to put it. I think if you're Barcelona, you go down 2-0 going into halftime. You're thinking, we need to get off to a really good start in the second half. We need a quick goal to give us some momentum. They got that from Pedri. We need a second goal to really be thinking about the possibility of winning this match. They got that from Ferran Torres. But you didn't really get that full-on reaction from Barcelona after the second goal to go and get the third. In fact, in looking at the highlights, you're thinking, wait a minute. The actual good, clean, clear opportunities fell to Levante on the counter. So I think Hansi Flick will be disappointed on 2 things. The first half is not what he was looking for. The end of that first half was certainly not what he's looking for. He would be proud of the reaction of the team in the first 15 minutes in the second half, but I think he would want more from his team to close out the match. So in the end, your assessment is correct, Dan. You get away with it. It's early signals of what this season can be about if you don't defend well, if you don't defend the counter-attack opportunities. Is something that we have seen from Barcelona going back to last year. But what we also know, and the way to spin it if you're Barcelona, is we're never out of a match. We can be down 2-0, and we believe that we can win games, and this is yet another proof that Barcelona is never out of games because they can be explosive in the attack.
The concern, if I'm from a Barcelona perspective, Luis, is that second goal, which of course came from a penalty, was a counter-attack coming from your own corner that we've seen Barcelona exposed, of course, from last season quite a few times as well.
Yeah, and not only that one. Every single chance that this Levante side had, it was in a counter-attack. A counter-attack that they were having more numbers in that counter-attack. 2 against 3, 4 against 2. We've seen it a few times. And that's something that Barcelona knew from the very beginning, because that's the same problem that they had last year. We thought that after a year of working that high line, maybe during this season they are not going to have so many problems. But today, once again, Levante exposed that back line. They exposed Barcelona on transition. It's okay to send numbers forward and commit players into the last third, but you need to understand that the teams are going to have a look at the game today, at the game against Mallorca last weekend, where we had Hansi Flick not happy with the performance, not happy with the intensity. Today, with a 3-2, yes, you can be happy with the 15 minutes reaction in the second half, but you cannot be happy with that high line, with that bad performance, that bad judgment at the back, because you're going to play against Rayo Vallecano next week and against Valencia, and you're going to find exactly the same game that you found today. Today, you were lucky by a deflection, but maybe you are not going to be that lucky in the next game.
Has he got the personnel at the back, Ali, these days, considering what's happened over the summer?
Well, I don't think the personnel is much different than what it was last year. Now, Íñigo Martínez going to Saudi Arabia doesn't help, but is there a real drop-off between Íñigo Martínez and Ronald Araujo? I don't think that's quite the case. What I do think is important and critical to the success of Barcelona defensively, they're not going to change, right? It's going to be the high line. So what cannot happen is that first pass out of pressure by the opposing team, in this case Levante, that's the one that you have to win. That's the one that you have to disrupt. If you disrupt that, then it allows more numbers to get behind the ball, and now the counterattack opportunities stop. But when your press, your initial press is not good enough, and they break through that initial line of pressure, now it's when you see this whole desperation defensively from Barcelona, in which is 3v3, 4v3, 5v3 going the other way, and you have Balde, mommy. It's like he's catching the wind, hoping to get behind the ball, hoping to make a tackle. And in that desperation is when you give up a handball, give up a penalty, give up an opportunity, give up a goal. The personnel is not that much different. So I don't think it's so much the personnel as much as it is, this is the way that Barcelona plays. It's no different than it was last year. I thought that there would be a similar approach, but in some ways an adjustment.
A little diluted.
Okay, listen, right, we want to play with a high line. But sometimes we take a step back. Sometimes we don't need to be in the midfield line when there is no pressure on the ball. Sometimes we can give ourselves some room for mistakes. It puts a lot of pressure on the players that need to go and press the ball. If you don't do that, you ask yourself, you're asking for a lot of trouble, and they found a lot of trouble today against, let's not forget, Levante's newly promoted. As good as they might have been in La Segunda, this is a newly promoted team that are depending on Jose Luis Morales at 38 years old, El Comandante, to continue to lead this attacking line. And yet, this attacking line that is limited in terms of the talent level, they created opportunities against Barcelona. Good opportunities, score a couple of goals, could have scored a couple more.
And let's ask you the big question, Luis. Did Pedri's shot take a deflection?
Yes, I think he did took a deflection. I saw a few times, and it's true that the shot tried to get with a little bit offside of the right foot, but I see there is a little deflection right there that makes the ball just go higher.
I should have texted you to say no to wind up Stevie, Luis, before we started the
Nothing
show.
wrong with your eyesight either, Luis.
This, of course.
I don't think so.
And it was little moments, once again, we saw from Pedri.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, this will steal the headlines, an amazing goal, but he just does things that so little other players do across this game and find those little gaps.
Right, and so while we can look at the performance in the first half of Barcelona and say that overall it was disappointing, the one player that was doing something different was Pedri. Above Lamine Yamal, above Rafinha, consistently getting on the ball, consistently finding the right pass, consistently breaking through lines of pressure, consistently getting Barcelona into good attacking positions. And as I see the replay once again from a different angle, Stevie, I would say that yes, he did take a deflection.
No!
My bad, bad. Regardless, all I would say is that Barcelona needed something different and productive. And big moment of this game changes on that Pedri goal. Because it changed the feeling of Barcelona, it changed the way that they approached the match, it changed just the confidence of the group. Had that not happened early on in the second half, I think we're having a different conversation right now. Pedri, once again, a difference maker for this club.
Lamine Yamal, of course, always lively throughout this game, but was key in that third goal, Stevie, with that quick delivery. Talk us through that.
Well, you know, the beauty of it, we keep talking about it, particularly when we watch the Premier League. You know, we're talking about the ball going wide, either not taking the defender on or going backwards. Sometimes you've just got to put the ball in a dangerous area.
Yeah.
And I had coaches all my career saying, if you stick it in a dangerous area, guess what? It might not only be one of your teammates that puts the ball in the net, but if it's such a good ball, the opposition might finish it off for you. And that's exactly what happened. You know, it's poor defending. He doesn't keep his eye on the ball. He ends up, he's no idea where it is. It hits him in the back of the head. Had he watched it, he might have been able to clear it, but you put it in a dangerous area and you never know what's going to happen.
How was Marcus Rashford, Luis?
He was actually decent in the first few minutes, but he was kind of fading as the game was going on and Levante started making those transitions. He made a few good actions in the first 15, 20 minutes. And then just the Barcelona start going more to Lamine Yamal, trying to find that right side. That is where the danger is always there. But I like it that he was always active. He was always on the move. He was opening on the wide area, trying to receive the ball and go 1v1. He was making a few good runs into the box. He tried to combine into the center, but there was no space. There was no moments. And Pedri wasn't finding those spots that in the second half he was trying to find. So it was all the time about going wide, but very slow and giving the Levante options to always close down. So I'm not going to say that it was a bad game. It was a decent game. I would have loved to see him a little bit more near the box. He was quite wide open, without space, without not even a chance to shoot on target. So I think he was decent, and he will have more minutes. I'm sure of that. And with a little bit more space, I think he could be a very valuable player for Barcelona this season.
Here's the issue that Hansi Flick and Marcus Rashford are going to find with Barcelona. You put him out on the left-hand side. That means that you're dropping Rafinha into sort of a playmaking position, playing that underneath position. Rafinha is at his best when he's able to run beyond defenders and get on the end of services from Lamine Yamal. When you have Marcus Rashford there, that area is already populated. It's already crowded. And so now there is no space for Rafinha to run into. The reason that Marcus Rashford comes out the field is because his presence on the left-hand side was limiting the movement of Rafinha, and it was making it more predictable for Barcelona in the attack. Marcus Rashford gets taken down, and then now Rafinha starts floating into different areas, becoming far more dangerous. If you're Hansi Flick, when you're making this decision, who has the seniority? who has the benefit of the doubt? It's going to be Rafinha and not Marcus Rashford. So as good as he might have been over the first 10, 15 minutes, the moment he stopped going at defenders, he becomes less and less productive for Barcelona. And you're also making Rafinha less productive. That's why you make the change.